Hello, it's me. I am still Mr. Carley, although my students refer to me by my first name now, which is a little odd. Today I'm going to be talking about the importance of schedules and the importance of routine. There are a lot of things that I want to get done. As a matter of fact, I have more things that I want to get done in my life right now than I have in quite some time. I'm being fairly successful at all of them, but there are many, many, many things. For example, every week I work a little bit more on my master's thesis, which I've gotten the rough draft for, but still needs work. I work a little bit more on SFE, Swedish for immigrants. I work a little bit more at the gym. I work a little bit more at lesson planning. And I work a little bit more at keeping the house clean. The problem is that I have a commute which now takes up about 3 hours of my day. And as not unpleasant as the commute is, because trains and buses are fairly comfortable in this country, and my commute usually happens when there's still seats, so I'm not really standing the whole way or anything. It's still kind of exhausting to just sit and wait. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but several studies in the US have shown that students who have to sit and not do anything are more tired and less active than students who have active involvement in their classrooms. So while I am enforcing that in my classroom, I can't enforce it in my own schedule. Add to that the fact that I am getting up at 5 a.m. every morning until I get a car, and I have to get a license, which takes about a month, and I really just don't feel like I have time to do all the things that I need to get done. But I still have to do all of those things. I can't get rid of any of those things because they're all important. I've already removed the unimportant things from my schedule. I no longer keep up with comic books. I don't read as much unless it's on my tablet. And there's a lot of video games that I have less time for. Still make time for a few because if I didn't, I would go crazy. But it is difficult to find time to do the things that I care about when I have so many things that I have to do. I recognize that this is all a precursor to when I have kids, which I hopefully will do soon, knock on wood. But Sam and I wanted to get our life straight in Sweden before we did that. So we are pretty close to getting our life straight in Sweden. Anyway, schedules are the thing that allow me to get stuff done. Schedules are the thing that allow me to accomplish quite so many things, and I do accomplish a ridiculous amount of things. But many of my students are terrible at schedules. They have trouble not staying up till the middle of the night playing video games, and they have trouble going to bed at a certain time, and they have trouble getting up at a certain time. They have trouble remembering which classes they're in and which places they end up. And patterns are one of the most important things to learning. That's part of why so many teachers have such a rigorous schedule in their class. They do, we do a bell ringer first, then we do explanation of last night's homework, then we do introduction to new concept, then we do practice of new concepts, then we do kids practice new concept on their own or work in groups. It's because patterns are useful. The problem is when you only do the pattern and you refuse to deviate, that's when patterns become more of a handicap than a help. But we all do need patterns. It's part of what makes us special as a species is that we recognize patterns and that we can play upon them. We noticed that the sun came up at a certain time and certain animals were way more active during that time. Hooray, hunting. But patterns are fairly useful. The problem is when we shift patterns, it can cause difficulties. And so my getting up super early makes me Walking Dead by the end of the day. And I forget things and I just wander around and I wander off. I think this is just going to be an update video. I don't think there's going to be any of the value of in this one. I think this is just me telling you what's going on. I just had the first week of school with my students. My students are now 16 to 19-year-olds, almost entirely from Syria, many of whom have very little understanding of English, but they're amazing people. They're happy, good-hearted, smart kids. They just don't happen to know that much Swedish or English. And we're trying to prep them for gymnasia. The problem is that a lot of my cohort of teachers, not naming any names, and they're all decent people, they have trouble imagining that people who don't speak their language are intelligent. And that's a normal thing that people do at this, well, almost everywhere. A lot of people in America imagine that if you don't speak English, you can't possibly be intelligent. So people will come from other places, and they'll have been doctors or chemists or mathematicians, and they'll have to work crappy jobs in America because they don't speak English, and they'll end up doing janitorial work, and it's heartbreaking. Ugh. But because some of my coworkers think of them as either children or as unintelligent people, the kids are forced to conform to the schedule of, younger teens who need structure, who need more structure than these older kids. And so some of them are kind of busting at the seams. Some of them may quit school. But I'm trying to give them the solidity of a direction without the rigid nature of forcing them along that direction, kind of an open pathway, a riverbed, if you will, and letting them flow along it instead of, putting up dams every few minutes. I'm also having a lot of trouble adjusting to the amount of Swedish in my life right now because most of my coworkers only speak Swedish at me. And that's probably going to be a good thing soon. But the first 2 weeks have been just heck. I don't want to say hell because it hasn't been hell. But it has been exhausting because my brain is constantly translating. And I wake up full of, stress and... Don't get me wrong, thanks to SFE and the practice, I am understanding much, much more, and I'm able to speak much, much more Swedish. But I need more words, and there's lots of words that I don't understand in the middle of conversations, and some of them are really important words. Anyway, I am okay. Everything will be better as soon as I have adjusted to the sleep schedule, and it becomes a little less new work every time. I hope you are all well. This is just going to be an update video, although I did talk about patterns a lot. I will try to have something a little better next time, but at the same time, I'm just trying to keep up checking the boxes. As long as I'm checking the boxes, I'm doing okay. Take care. Nice to talk to you. Beep boop.